Alright guys, so we are going to read chapter 18 together. Just to recap, you are going to be writing a diary entry. What I'd like for you to do is have your diary, your journal on your desk. You're going to be doing a new... I know some of you are running out of space, so you can either write on the back of pages, you can staple a new page in there, or just do a loose piece of notebook paper, that's fine. But I do want you to do a diary entry, Dear Diary, and I'll have you stop it and answer some questions. The other thing I want you to have out is that sheet that I gave you with your theme. If you haven't watched the theme video, please go find the theme video and watch it over your topic. Each of you was assigned a topic. I don't want you to change your topic because I want you to focus on one, and we'll go from there. I'll make your life a lot easier. So that's what I want you to do with that. Have both of those out, and I may tell you from time to time to write some things down. I also want you to keep in mind that my page numbers may not match your page numbers because I'm using a different book. But like I said before, I've got a lot of writing in my book, and so I kind of have to use mine. Before we get started, though, I do want you to reflect on what you've done so far, what you've learned in the past couple of chapters. I want you to think about it and think about who do you think killed Hollybrass and why? Okay, there's a couple of different options. Charlotte is really worried that Zachariah killed Hollybrass to scare Jaggery. One of my hours predicted that Jaggery killed Hollybrass just because Jaggery's a jerk and likes to do mean things. Some people said that crew members did it. Think like Morgan, he's the guy who goes, so he's kind of a rough guy anyway, so maybe he did it. Barlow's a pretty big guy. He seems like a nicer guy to Charlotte than some of the other crew members, but he's still kind of, big guy. He'd be capable of doing it physically. So right now I want you to write the name of someone who you think killed Hollybrass and write down why you think they did it. Go and pause the video and answer that question. Alright, let's get started. Chapter 18. We're going to start on page 166 in my book, which I think is like 169 in your book, something like that. When I emerged on deck from the dark hold, the very perfection of the day, bright sun, dazzling blue sky, clouds both full and white made me shade my eyes. And though the Seahawk pitched and rolled gently upon the softest of seas, I felt as though my legs would give way under me. For when I was able to look about, I saw that the captain had arranged a kind of courtroom. In the ship's waist, on the starboard side, he had assembled the crew in 2 rows, some sitting on the deck, the rest standing behind the front rank. Before them, atop the central cargo hatch, a chair had been placed. The captain hurried me past the crew, none of whom would look me in the eye, and instructed me to sit in the chair, saying it would serve as the prisoner's dock. Now he took his place in one of his fine cabin chairs. It had been set up high behind the quarterdeck rail, a rail that he pounded sharply with the butt of his pistol. I proclaim this court to be in session in strict accordance with the law, he said. Considering the overwhelming evidence against the accused, it needn't be held at all, but as I have told Miss Doyle, she will enjoy the benefit of my generosity. So saying, he now took up his Bible, and though he had just seated himself, rose abruptly and brought it down to the crew. It was Fisk he approached first. "Place your hand upon this," he demanded. Fisk did it as he was ordered, but clearly unnerved, touched the book as one might a hot plate. So Fisk is like, all right, if I have to. "Do you, Mr. Fisk," the captain intoned, "swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?" Fisk hesitated. He glanced quickly at me. "Do you?" Captain Jaggery pressed. "Yes," Fisk replied, finally in a hollow whisper. Satisfied, the captain went on to the next man, then the next, until he had sworn in the entire crew. From the solemnity that showed upon their faces, from their nervous fidgets and downcast eyes, it was clear to me that the men were mightily unsettled by the oath they had been made to take. They could not take the Bible lightly. But I was certain each of them believed, as I did, that the murder was done by Zachariah, whom they themselves had conspired to hide in the hold. It was to him they would remain steadfast, not me. They would tell the truth, but in such a way as to protect Zachariah. How could I disagree? Once Captain Jaggery had sworn in the crew, he approached me. I too laid my hand upon his Bible. I too promised to tell the truth, even as I knew I would not speak it completely. The swearing done, the captain returned to his chair, and again banged his pistol on the rail. "Will the accused stand?" he said. I stood. "Before this court," he continued, "I, Andrew Jaggery, by my rightful authority as master of the Seahawk, charge you, Charlotte Doyle, with the unnatural murder of Samuel Hollybrass, late of Portsmouth, England, first mate of the Seahawk. Miss Doyle, how plead you?" "Captain Jaggery," I tried to protest. "How plead you, Miss Doyle?" he repeated sternly. "I did not do it." "Then you plead innocent." "Yes, innocent." "Miss Doyle," he asked, with what I could have sworn was a slight smile about his lips, "do you desire to withdraw your claim to being a member of this crew? That is to say, do you wish to hide behind your father's name and thus avoid judgment by these men?" I turned slightly so as to consider the crew. They were gazing at me intently, but offered nothing to help. Though I sensed a trap in the question, I was loath to abandon my trust in the men, just when I most needed them. "Miss Doyle, do you wish to be judged by these men or not?" I trust them," I said finally. "Do you wish to charge someone else with the act of murder?" "No," I said. "Let it thus be understood," Jaggery declared, "that the accused insists she be judged by this court and further charges no one else with this crime." So saying, he pulled a logbook onto his lap and with pen in hand wrote down my words. Remember, the captain has a logbook that he records everything that happens on the ship. So if someone gets in trouble, he writes it down. If someone gets docked pay, he writes it down. If something happens to cargo, he writes it down. So in this case, he's writing down everything that's happening in his court trial. So if someone asks him what happened so he doesn't get in trouble, he can say, "Well, this is what I told Charlotte. This is what Charlotte said." Well done, he looked up. "Miss Doyle, do you agree that someone murdered Mr. Hollybrass?" "Yes." "Someone on the Seahawk?" "It has to be." "Exactly. Someone on this ship, and at the moment you are the only one accused." "You have accused me." "But, given the opportunity, Miss Doyle, you accused no one else." It was clear this was a major point with him. All I could reply was, "Yes." The captain made a note in his book, then shifted his attention to the crew. "Is there any man here who is willing to defend the prisoner?" I turned to the men whom I'd begun to call friends, Ewing, Barlow, Fisk. Not one of them would look at me. "No one?" the captain said mockingly. "No one." "Very well," the captain went on. "Miss Doyle, you will have to defend yourself." "They are frightened of you," I said. They won't speak because—" "Miss Doyle," he interrupted, "is it not my right, my responsibility as master of this ship to determine who used the knife and for what reasons?" "Yes, but—" Again he cut in. "Have I asked for anything but the truth?" "No." We're going to stop there for a second. First off, I got to go on a little rant here. These guys are such cowards. They act like these big, tough, "Ooh, I'm a big, tough sailor guy." But then when it comes down to it, they're like given a chance to stand up for her, given a chance to stand up for Zachariah, given a chance to stand up for Kranich, and every time they're like, "Oh, whoa, whoa, no. I don't think so. I'm not going to participate in that." So right now I want you to pause the video and write down, what do you think is going through Charlotte's mind at the moment? Okay, she's just had the first chance where someone could stand up for her and nobody says a thing. These people she thinks are her friend. So write that down, pause the video. Okay, we're going to pick right back up. "And a murder was committed by someone on this ship. This is not open to question. But have you so much as hinted it was someone else?" "No, but—" "Miss Doyle, although none of these men wishes to defend you, they all have sworn to speak the truth. Can you ask for anything more than that?" Again I said nothing. "Very well, we shall begin." He leaned back in his chair, logbook still in his lap, pen in hand, pistol at the ready. "We have agreed that Mr. Hollybrass was murdered. Is there anyone here who believes he was killed by other than this weapon?" He held up the dirk. No one spoke. Well, duh, it was sticking out of Hollybrass's back. How else do you expect him to die? The captain continued, Let us now determine its ownership, Miss Doyle, he asked. Do you recognize this knife? Captain Jaggery, I left it... Miss Doyle, he said again, do you recognize this knife? Captain Jaggery. Was this the blade that killed Mr. Hollybreast? He repeated. Yes. Very well then, he said. I shall ask once more. Do you recognize this knife? Now at this point, my book, you see right here, it's missing a line. So you'll have to read the line to yourself in your book. Tell us about it. Zachariah gave it to me. Mr. Zachariah, he said, pretending to be surprised. Yes, and I showed it to you a few days into the voyage. But when you showed it to me, he quickly put in, and I asked you who gave it to you, what did you say? I said nothing. You told me that a certain Mr. Grummage of Liverpool gave it to you. Am I correct? Captain Jaggery, answer the question, yes or no. Yes. Are you saying now that you lied? Yes or no? Yes, I said, appealing to the crew, but only because I didn't want to bring harm upon Zachariah. Whatever your excuses, Miss Doyle, you admit you lied to me. Yes, I was forced to say, and you said I should keep the knife. Indeed, I told you that, and you did keep it, didn't you? Yes, I said sullenly, sensing he was getting the best of me. He turned to the crew. Did any of you see this girl with this knife in hand at any time? The men shifted uneasily. Come now, gentlemen, the captain barked. This is a court of law. All of you are required to speak the truth. You swore upon the Bible to do so. I'll ask again. Did any of you see this girl with this knife? The crew appeared to be looking every way but at the captain. Then I noticed Dillingham rub the back of his neck. The captain saw it too. Mr. Dillingham, he called out sharply, do you have something to say? Step forward, sir. Dillingham came forward awkwardly. What have you to say? I saw her with the knife, sir. When? Shortly after we set sail. Thank you, Dillingham. I applaud your forthrightness. Now then, did anyone else see her with the knife? Mr. Ewing. Ewing said as much as Dillingham. When pressed, so did Foley, so did Mr. Johnson. The captain was now leaning over the rail, clearly enjoying himself. Did anyone not see her with the knife? He said dryly. No one spoke. I wish, he said, to state how unnatural it is for a girl to carry a knife. You have no reason to say unnatural, I objected. You even gave me one. Did I? Yes, during the storm. Why did I? To cut away the rigging. To be sure, that was an emergency, but by what reason did you have a knife when there was no emergency? To defend myself. Defend yourself? Against whom? Against what? Fearful of his traps, I was not sure what to say. Against what? He pressed. Did anyone threaten you? Any of these men? No, not them. Who then? Come, speak up. You. How so? You struck me. Miss Doyle. I do strike members of the crew. It is a common enough practice. He turned to the men. Have any of you ever known a captain who has not, from time to time, struck a member of the crew? Come now, speak up if you have. No one spoke. The captain turned back to me. But do they turn upon me with a knife? Is that what you are suggesting, Miss Doyle? That members of a crew have the right to assault their captain with a weapon? He had confused me again. Besides, he added, you had that knife on the first day of the voyage. Did you think I would strike you then? No, I believed you were a gentleman. So, Miss Doyle, you had the knife before you met me, did you not? Yes, I admitted. The captain smiled with obvious satisfaction. The knife then is clearly yours, and you were seen with it. You admit to all of this. He turned to the crew. Have any one of you seen a knife in her hand other than during the first few days of this voyage? Step forward if you have. It was Grimes who did so. Ah, Mr. Grimes, you have something to say. Begging your pardon, sir. I saw her. In what circumstances? I was teaching her to use a knife. Teaching her to use a knife, the captain repeated portentously. Yes, sir. When? Before the storm. And did she learn? Yes, sir. Was she good at it? Aye, uncommon good. Mr. Grimes, I ask you, did you ever hear of another girl who desired to learn the use of a knife? Grimes hesitated. Answer. No, sir. Do you not think it's unnatural? Sir, I don't know if... Agree or disagree? He bobbed his head apologetically again. Agree. Unnatural again, the captain proclaimed. Mr. Hollybrass was murdered during the hurricane. Did anyone see this girl on the deck during the storm? He looked at the crew. Anyone? There were a few murmurs of yes. Mr. Barlow, I think you say yes. What was Miss Doyle doing? She was with the crew, sir, doing her part like we all was, and good work, too. Doing her part like we all was, the captain echoed in a mocking tone. Mr. Barlow, you are not young. In all your years, have you ever heard of a girl who took up crew's work? We're going to stop right here just for a second. He's saying she's a freak, basically. What kind of girl does this stuff? And he says words like unnatural. In a minute, he's going to say unusual, uncommon. If you are doing the theme of gender roles, I want you to write down this page number and write down a little bit about what he says about Charlotte being unnatural, because that's a good example of gender roles on the ship, about how weird it is for Charlotte, a girl, to be doing these things, and yet she's still doing them. Okay? But Jaggery's using that against her, like, oh, you're a girl. What are you thinking? Okay? The rest of you, this would be a good time to pause the video, and I want you to respond. Here I want you to talk about what evidence has he brought forth so far. Okay? Jaggery's brought forth some evidence. I want to know, what is that evidence that he's brought forth? He's talked about the fact that it's her knife, and he's talked about the fact that she was seen on deck with during the time that the murder was committed. So it's her knife, and she was there when the murder was committed. So pause the video and describe the evidence that they found. Okay, we're going to continue on. We're going to start back up where it says, no, sir, I never did. No, sir, I never did. So then is it not unusual? I suppose. You suppose? Might you say unnatural? That's not fair, I cried out. Unusual and unnatural are not the same. Miss Doyle, have you an objection? There was nothing unnatural in what I did, I insisted. Miss Doyle, let me then put the question to you. Have you ever heard of a girl joining a crew? I felt caught. Have you? No. So even you admit to that? Yes, but... The captain turned to the crew. Is there anyone here who has ever heard of a girl doing what this Miss Doyle has done? No one spoke. So what we have here is a girl who admits she owns the weapon that murdered Mr. Hollybrass. A girl who lied about where she got it. A girl who was taught to use a blade and learned to use it as Mr. Grimes would have it uncommon well. A girl who all agree is unnatural in every way she acts. Gentlemen, do we not, as natural men, need to take heed? Is it not our duty, our obligation, to protect the natural order of the world? Stop right there. If you are doing order versus chaos, write this page number, because it's talking about natural order. Okay? And describe what he's talking about. The natural order of things, the way things are structured. So if you are doing that one, pause the video and write the page number. Once more he turned to me. Miss Doyle, he said, Mr. Zachariah was a friend of yours. The best of friends. What happened to him? He was flogged, I murmured. And, for the last time, I appealed mutely to the crew. They were all looking steadily at me now. I asked you a question, Miss Doyle. What happened to Mr. Zachariah? He died, I said softly. Flogged to death. Who flogged him? You did. Unmercifully. Anyone else? Mr. Hollybrass. Mr. Hollybrass. Why was Mr. Zachariah being flogged? There was no reason. No reason? Did he not take part in a mutiny? He had every right to. A right to mutiny? Yes. You yourself, Miss Doyle, in great fear, if I remember, informed me that a mutiny was about to occur. Mr. Zachariah was one of the participants, yet you think it unfair to flog him? You wanted to kill him. So you were angry at me? I looked into his glinting eyes. Yes, I declared, deservedly so. And at Mr. Hollybrass. After a moment I again said, Yes. Mr. Zachariah was a particular friend of yours, was he not, Miss Doyle? Yes. A black man. He was my friend. So you resented his being given the punishment he deserved. It was not deserved. Is murder an unnatural act, Miss Doyle? Yes. Is the way you dress unnatural? Not for the work I do. What work is that? As a member of the crew. Is being a crew member not unnatural for a girl? Unusual, I insisted. Not unnatural. Your hair. I could not work with it long. Work? I am one of the crew. Unnatural, he said. Unusual, said I. So we have in you, Miss Doyle, the captain pressed on, an unnatural girl, dressing in unnatural ways, doing unnatural things, owning the very knife that killed Mr. Hollybrass, and Mr. Hollybrass was the man you disliked for flogging your particular black friend. You make it seem all wrong when it isn't, I cried out. He turned to the crew. Does anyone wish to make a statement on this girl's behalf? No one spoke. Miss Doyle, he said, do you wish to say anything? Before we move on, I want you to think about that. Why does he keep calling Zachariah her black friend? Okay, that's significant. He keeps saying that it's her black friend. Okay, I think part of it is because Zachariah has this lower status because he is black. And I think Jaggery wants to keep bringing that up. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we continue reading. We're going to pick right back up where it says, my father. My father. Miss Doyle, the captain cried out. When we began, I offered you the opportunity of claiming the protection of your father. You refused it then. Miserable, I could only bow my head. He turned to the crew. Does anyone wish to make a statement on this girl's behalf? No one spoke. Miss Doyle, he said, do you wish to say anything? Miserable, I could only shake my head. Very well, I must declare a verdict. He stood. As master of the Seahawk, it is my judgment that this unnatural girl, this Charlotte Doyle, is guilty of the crime of murdering Samuel Hollybrass. For a final time, he turned to the crew. Is there anyone who wishes to speak against this verdict? No one spoke. Miss Doyle, he said to me, have you anything to say on your behalf now? I did not do it! Miss Doyle, the facts have spoken otherwise. I wish to inform you that the penalty for such a crime is to be hanged by the neck from the yardarm. Within 24 hours you shall be hanged until you are dead. So saying, he brought down his pistol hard upon the rail. The trial was over. Wow. Okay, so end of the trial. Remember at the beginning of the book it said she was accused of murder and found guilty. And that's what just happened. She's just been found guilty of murder and she's going to be hanged. Right now I want you to finish your diary entry and just talk about what happened in the trial. Talk about some of the things that Captain Jaggery says, some of the cruel things he does, some of the evidence he points out. As horrible as Jaggery is, he's a very good lawyer in this case. I mean, he brings up evidence that it's hard to deny. Yeah, Charlotte's knife. Yeah, Charlotte knew how to use the knife. Yeah, Charlotte was there when Hollybrass was killed. I don't know. Okay, wrap up your journal entry and then continue on to the next chapter.